So I was going to wear a suit last night, and then Aman said, Roy, these are all West Coast people that are going to think you're some dud from the Midwest if you wear a suit. So I put away my tie, and I had this with me. And the reason, why are you trying to dress up and impress everybody here? And the reason is I got the buzz last night, and I've had a chance to talk to Joe and Aman and all of you guys, and I sort of said, yesterday was an important day for you. It was a day to celebrate. So I wanted to wear my kurta from India in honor of you for having a great moment to celebrate and success. So thank you. So my first chance to meet Scott and crew was, I get a call, I'm in Sri Lanka on a vacation, and by the way, Asia Air should fly to Trincomalee, Sri Lanka, because that's where I was. So I had to take Air India, which was horrible. We'll tell you about that later. So you got to come meet this guy, Scott, and in Sydney, and it's not a trivial thing. So I did all the thing, called my colleagues, is it worth it, and who's this Scott character? So, and I got to see Dan in action. He was doing his thing. And I have to say, when you meet people, that first 2 hours of conversation is when you get a sense of somebody's character, their intellect, and their passion. And pretty quickly, I could tell with the leadership team there that there was something different. Now, I'm older than most of you, and I get to travel and meet lots of interesting people all over the world. And I look for certain characteristics when I determine whether or not a company is capable of taking a journey. And there's two ingredients to being able to take a journey as big as that you guys are talking about. One is the capacity of the leaders to shape a vision and to build a culture. And the second is there the raw talent and courage of culture inside the company to make these changes? And I pretty quickly got a sense of this great vision. I always tell my sons this, what is the great advantage I have over them? I says, no matter how much smarter you are than me, I will still always have one thing over you, and that's treachery. Right? That's the one thing that old people excel at, is treachery. But the second thing that old people have a good sense of is a sense of history. What are the capabilities? Why does Expedia have the capability of rebuilding itself, and other companies in this region may have not done quite as good job at rebuilding themselves? I won't mention any names. So I liked big goals. For me as an outsider, I didn't know Expedia that well until recently. For me, what is a big goal of Expedia? Democratizing travel. I don't think you guys realize you did make a difference to the world. You really did. And that's a legacy you should never be not proud of, that I think is something that's really important. At the same time, we're living in a world where the potential for the number of people to travel is increasing. And whilst we talk about this magic of delighting the Earth's travelers, there's something Scott and I shared in common. I think you've been to, 60 countries plus? Scott and I have been very privileged people. I tell you this sincerely. I have now been to 70 countries, lived in almost 8 or 9, and travel does more than make you feel good as a person. Travel is what I believe is going to be one of the key factors that saves the human race over the next 100 years. Without understanding the rest of the peoples of the world, we run the risk of destroying this wonderful planet that we've created. And so I actually think the mission of Expedia is in fact greater than delighting the Earth's travelers. It's making travel such an experience that it brings the people of the world together. And that is why when I heard Scott's passion about what is that vision for Expedia, I said, wow, this could be something that has the same, let's face it, we are all motivated to do great things. But when we do things that are greater than ourselves, it is the greatest reward you could ever live your life doing. And I think that is what Expedia has a chance to do, is to rebuild that sense of great purpose. So that's why I got excited, number one. Excited, number two, is I was coming here Tuesday, and when you get to Scott and my situation, you have to trust people who are, in the trenches. So I went and talked to this guy who's a 15-year colleague of mine. I said, what's the story on the ground? We know Aman, we like him, we know, Dan and Joe. But what is it like inside Expedia? And what Patrick Sarnicki said to me, he said, Roy, two things. One, they're clearly smarter than the average bear. So we know that you guys have some rather intelligent people. And quite frankly, most of the sort of high-end .com original had that category. He said, but there's something different about Expedia that I don't see at any other client I've been in 15 years. The courage to listen and be open-minded. And he said, Roy, it is a pleasure to work with smart people who are open-minded. I want to badmouth any of our other clients who are very big name companies. There is an arrogance that comes with intelligence. The trick of what you guys have is you had a great culture, you have a brilliant intellect, and you have passion, and if you stay open-minded, you will be one of the most important successful companies in the next 20 years. And I felt that because now when people, thought workers, are telling me, listen, this is a great culture on the ground, that's an attribute to something that you guys obviously have. So hats off to you guys as being a great company. So what makes ThoughtWorks and us sort of obsessive? For me, I'm the generation of Dick Tracy watches, Star Trek, universal translation machines. I got passionate about software because I thought software could unleash great human potential, and that's what I wanted software to do. And we've done some amazing things, right? We have done a lot of things for technology, for the planet. But as an insider, I will tell you that there's a certain class of problem of software that we haven't made keep up, right? And that is the place that you guys have. You are both an online property, and yet you have this complex back-end systems and integration. Most companies in the United States and the world who have back-end systems, they produce software poorly and very slowly. So you have all the pressure of the external market, and yet you have this legacy that you've got to deal with. And that is a very wicked problem. Now, ThoughtWorks 12 years ago, when we were first helping invent Agile, so Martin Fowler, a very famous guy, and Ward Cunningham and I were sitting in a room trying to figure out, why is testing software so hard? It turns out that something as simple as unit testing software is hard. Because I'm sure most business people, if we asked you in the room, are you really passionate, are you happy with the quality of speed of software, you would say no. And most software people aren't happy that it takes us so long to write software. We're not happy either. So why is this a wickedly hard problem? Why is it that the design people feel so frustrated and they're all cheering over there, right? It's a hard problem to solve. Fortunately, even though we've done a lot of good things in the Agile movement in the last 4 or 5 years, what Cindy's going to talk to you now is about what does continuous delivery do. And a couple things just to highlight where it's going. In the last 4 or 5 years, things like virtualization, clouds, and the whole continuous design movement have come together to create this broader movement that we're calling the continuous delivery movement.